O'Reilly.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Logan, welcome to the Road to French Lick, man. Congratulations, number one, on your win in Chile, and tell us about what's going on with you. What was the experience like?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It was really cool. I went down there not really necessarily knowing where my next event would be after those two, and came back with a nice set schedule and a little bit of a head start on hopefully chasing down a PGA Tour card.
You had an interesting last couple of years, 23, and then last year you got in conditional status, or this year you're on conditional status with the Korn Ferry Tour, and so you went down, and then you were in three events. You finished 37th in Argentina, and then all of a sudden you came up to Chile and you won that event at 19 under, and you go 63, 64 on the weekend. I mean, what did you do? I mean, it's absolutely insanity.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, because the last 2 years I've had full status where I've been able to, like I said, set my schedule and be able to know where I'm playing and stuff. So when I was at home for the first couple of months of the year, you're kind of, you're practicing, you're doing everything you can to get ready, but you don't really necessarily know what you're getting ready for past those first three events. So I think it kind of made me, I don't know if lock-in's the right word, but just practice a little bit harder, knowing that, this was kind of it for this year a little bit. If I go out and miss three cuts, I'm playing Mondays and hoping to get in and play well, which is kind of a tough route to go. So I don't know if that was just a little bit extra focus or what, but I went down there feeling pretty good about my game. And I always feel like the second week of a stretch like that, especially when it's only 2 weeks, is a little bit easier to play well. So I was able to get kind of in a rhythm in Argentina. I was hitting the ball well, just wasn't very clean, doing the small stuff, which I think part of that was just competitive rust. I've played one tournament in the last 3 months or whatever when I went to Bogota and Argentina. So yeah, I think that second week I just it took me a couple days to get going a little bit, but that weekend was that was probably the two best rounds of golf that I've played in a very long time.
So,
was there some difficulty in trying to stretch out this run that you're on between the two stops that the Korn Ferry Tour has in Latin America? All right, you got the back half of that first two, and you go home, and you come back, and you got to do the next two. Was that a little awkward to kind of get back into things, knock off that rush you're kind of talking about?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had a pretty cold, not as cold as you guys up at French Lick, but we had a pretty cold January and beginning of February. So I went and played Mondays. I played the Monday for Panama and Bogota because I didn't know if I would get into Bogota, and then actually played the Mondays for Argentina and Chile a week later, and then played a couple of the PGA Tour Mondays. So I tried to travel around a little bit, but like I said, I wasn't able to. I was hitting balls indoors, and there's snow on the ground. I didn't get to play any holes. So honestly, that was the toughest part, was that I go down there to Bogota. I was not even in the field on Thursday morning. I get in at 6:30 in the morning, have to tee off at 7:05 or whatever it was. So I wasn't necessarily prepared for that. My golf game felt prepared, but it's just pretty chaotic doing that. So not that I throw Bogota out the window, but it was a little bit of a tougher situation that week. And I think I missed the cut on the number. So it's not like I played terrible golf. And like I said, I knew that I was playing well, and the weather kind of warmed up a little bit after Bogota. So it was actually nice to get home and be able to practice not in 5 layers and with snow on the ground.
So when you're looking at your journey home, you finish up the round. Tell us a little about the celebration afterwards. You get it. Did you have any family down there, or are you just flying solo?
I actually had one of my buddies caddying for me. He's caddied for me a little bit. I went
What's
and
his
played
name?
in Joseph Lemieux. We went
Joe
to high
Lemieux.
school. He's a couple years older than I am, but we went to high school together, and he played golf too. And so he was my buddy that was down there, which is kind of hard to going down that far south. You kind of need some people to hang out with, because it's a place that neither of us knew. So we were just kind of doing it together at least. But as far as the celebration goes, I think I finished up around like 6:00 and I had a 9:45 flight. And of course the trophy ceremony, and you got to sign stuff and take pictures and everything else. So it took a while to get out of there. And I went straight to take a shower afterwards in the locker room and got in the car and went straight to the airport to catch my flight. So there wasn't too much. We celebrated a little bit when we got home on Monday morning and Tuesday. But yeah, as far as in Chile goes, I didn't do too much.
That's cool. Well, congratulations, Logan. We think
Thank
that's
you.
fabulous, and I'm sure your family's really proud of you and whatnot. But and your coaches, tell us a little bit about Oklahoma. You got some great mates that you played golf down there with Chris and Quade Cummings. I ran into Quade last week at the Valspar down in Florida, and he was walking through. I think he was on his like 5th hour of a pro-am, and he's just shaking his head. He's like, "Man, it's a long day out here." But tell us about your run in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, that was the 4 years that I got to spend there. I think I developed more as a golfer and as a person than I probably will the rest of my life combined, to be honest with you. It's just so easy to, like, there were so many good players around that program.
Oh God, yeah.
And getting to spend time around those guys, pushing each other to get better. I know they were pushing me to get better. I hope I was pushing them to get better. But yeah, I mean, I'm under the impression that Coach Hybl is the best coach in college golf as far as being able to develop players that, he's never really like, nowadays it's a little different because they've been good for the last 10 years or whatever. But for a while, he wasn't getting necessarily these top ranked guys, but he was able to find guys that he thought had a really high ceiling and get them as close to that ceiling as he possibly can. And I think he's done a very good job of that. But on the other side of that too, the culture that he's built between all of us is pretty cool, because now I live where Quade does, Chris does, Patrick Welch, who played at OU, Jonathan Brightwell, who played at OU for a year, and then a bunch of the Oklahoma State guys, Austin Eckroat, Victor. There's 10 or 12 guys that are all on PGA Tour, Korn Ferry, or Live, that all play at the same golf course. So I get to spend a bunch of time around kind of the same ideas in college, guys that are going to push me and almost make me get better, because if you can't hang with those guys, then you're going to lose a lot of money in our games, and you're not going to have very much fun going out to play golf every day.
Well, the Korn Ferry Tour is actually, I think, making its first stop in Oklahoma at the end of the summer here, right?
We played the last couple of years at Jimmy Austin, which was OU's home course. Yeah,
got it.
And so they switched up to, it's in Tulsa now.
That's at Patriot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the last event before the Korn Ferry Tour Championship. Is that right?
Yep.
So, did you get the experience of playing Jimmy Austin as a Korn Ferry Tour member? I assume that you did. And what did that week kind of feel like? If is it kind of a homecoming? What does it feel like to kind of have that base, that connection to not only those people but the school, and then have an opportunity to go play a Korn Ferry Tour event?
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome having an event in Oklahoma. I mean, when it was at Jimmy, I was able to sleep in my own bed and drive to the golf course every morning, which I've never gotten to do that ever. Because even in college, when we had regionals at home, we always stayed in a hotel down there. So I was always in a hotel. That was literally the first golf tournament probably since I was, 15 years old, where I slept in my own bed and drove to the golf course. So obviously there was a bunch of people out there supporting and stuff. And it was really, really cool. My fiance actually is from Tulsa. So Tulsa will be a little bit of the same vibe, where I know a lot of people that are up there. And yeah, it's cool having events in Oklahoma. I got to go to the PGA Championship that was in 22, and even in 2007, they had a PGA Championship that I remember going to. And, people in Oklahoma love golf, and we don't really get the opportunity to have that much professional golf in this state. And it's something that I wish they did a little bit more of, but I'm glad that the Korn Ferry Tour has that on the schedule now. And maybe when they see the amount of people that come out and the support that it gets in Oklahoma and how golf rich this state is, that down the line that there'll be some more events that end up happening.
How does the win kind of change anything about the rest of your mindset for the season? Beside the obvious, right? The money, the points, the security of a 2-year run guaranteed. Now that you're not worried about conditional status, how does that change anything that you're thinking about the rest of the way?
It's funny because it does change. Obviously I can book flights 3 months out if I want to for certain tournaments, which I wasn't able to do a month ago. But really, because obviously what I did, leading up to this kind of unknown worked really well. I've actually kind of consciously tried to stay in that same mindset a little bit, because I think it did help me a lot, instead of being like, oh no, if I don't play good this week, I got 20 more weeks or whatever it is. I'm trying to kind of stay in that same mindset of, let's go play as good as we can this week and pretend like we don't have another week after this. So my prep the last couple of weeks that I've had at home I've tried to replicate it to what I was doing before going down to Argentina and Chile. So it's changed the logistics a little bit, I think, of what I'm doing. But as far as the actual like prep and golf side of it goes, I've tried to keep everything as similar as possible, if not the exact same.
That's
I was
awesome.
going to ask, is there been a benefit to doing these Mondays and then kind of that playing into the conditional status of, well, I've got 18 holes to figure this out. And then you get to where you are in Chile for the weekend, 64, 63. I've got 18 holes to figure this out. It could change my life.
Yeah, it's funny because when I sat there on Friday night, I made the cut by 2 or something in Chile.
Yeah.
And I told Joe, my caddy, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to go out there and just pretend like today is a Monday, because I'm sitting there, whatever, 6, 7, I don't know how many shots back I was after 2 rounds, but quite a few shots back. And at a Monday, it takes something really special to go out and qualify. And, when you're sitting there teeing off at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, it kind of takes something special to get back into the golf tournament. And I don't know if I wouldn't have played those Mondays that I would have kind of been able to feel what that feels like. I've played Mondays in the past, don't get me wrong, but that was basically all that I had played so far this year. So I think that kind of taught me that, there's probably certain places where that's not a great thing because you play overly aggressive or whatever. But for the specific golf course that we were playing, I think it was a really good thing to just go out there and, hey, we're going to go make 7, 8 birdies or try to make 7, 8 birdies and see what happens. And my game was in the right spot to be able to do that. But I think that is definitely something that going forward, the experience that you gain and kind of just that, like, you don't necessarily want to be at Mondays. You're playing courses that aren't as good. You're all this stuff. All of that is useful to me going forward. And again, it's something that I wish I wouldn't have had to start the year doing that. But I think long term, specifically for this season, that'll be something that I can kind of draw off of for the rest of the year.
We saw this week down in Texas, the Monday qualifiers. 262s were shot, and there was a playoff for 4 spots for 1. So, I mean, these guys are shooting lights out.
Yeah, Mondays are crazy. You go down there and like, you might go play a golf course that it's blowing like 20 or whatever, and you feel like it's a somewhat not difficult, but not an easy golf course. And you get into the clubhouse and you shoot 66, and you're already done or whatever. You can go ahead and pack your bags and go home.
I know. Ryan and I were just talking. It's like, all right, you come out of the shoot, you have a bogey on the first hole. It's like I'm WDing right there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Well, hey, man, we really appreciate the time that you've taken with us. We can't say congratulations enough to you. We look forward to seeing you out on the road. I'll be up in Savannah Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'll look you up and introduce myself to you.
Awesome.
Any shout outs you want to give? You have any sponsors out there you want to give a high five to? Any long-term buddies or whatnot?
Yeah, I have a new sponsor this year. That's an OU guy that, it's a bond company. It's called McCauley Bonds. He's a Dallas guy. And then, Easy Post has supported me since I came out of school. Ping has supported me since I came out of school. And then Bridgestone is the other one that all of those except McCauley, which has been new and has been awesome. Those other 3 have supported me straight out of school, which is, this is expensive to do this, and you need those supporters, and it's just a logo on the shirt for them, but for me it kind of keeps me going and keeps me in a spot where I can win a tournament at 25 when I don't know where I'm playing the next week. So big shout out to them, and it's been cool to kind of, I wouldn't say I've had that much success as a pro after having a pretty good college career, but the people in my corner, my family, my fiance, my coaches, they've all been there along for the ride and have believed in me, which it takes that to be able to be successful. So I'm thankful for all of that. And, I know that they'll continue to support me whether I shoot 85 the first round in Savannah or 62. So,
Well, Logan McAllister, you're a champion, my man. Congratulations. We wish you the best of luck. And hopefully we do not see you at the Korn Ferry Championship presented by United Lacing and Finance. But if you do, you got a good place to stay. So
awesome.
take care, man. Thank
Thank
you.
you guys. Thank you guys so much for having me on.